Today I have the honor of talking with Vincent Ho, a brilliant multi-award-winning composer of orchestral, chamber, vocal, and theater music. Hi, Vincent.
Hi, Denis. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thank you for being here with me today.
My
That's great.
pleasure.
So, as a composer, I really admire your work, and I always have an enjoyable and enriching experience to listen to your pieces. So
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
And when did the composing took place?
It started actually when I was 14, when I rented this movie called Amadeus. It's a movie based on the play Amadeus. It's a fictionalized story of Mozart and Salieri. But at the time when I saw it, it was highly inspiring. It was the first time where the idea of becoming a composer was planted in my head. I mean, the idea of writing music, it just never occurred to me. And up to that point, I was very much, passionate about music, but I had never thought about writing music until I saw that movie.
Amadeus, the man, the music, the magic, the madness, the murder, the mystery, the motion picture. Amadeus. Everything you've heard is true.
Man, I'm so surprised to hear that. Like, that's exactly
Well,
what
you
happened
too.
with me.
Yeah, you and a lot of people. Actually, I find it's amazing how a lot of composers were inspired by that movie because it was quite a. That movie made such an impact in the classical world up to that point. I mean, it was you hear about Beethoven. It's always Beethoven and Mozart. You think of Eine kleine Nachtmusik until that movie came along and it popularized Mozart to a level that that became such I guess a worldwide phenomenon.
How important was your experience in your undergrad at the University of Calgary?
When I went to University of Calgary, one of the things I learned, especially studying with Alan Bell, was the idea of taking risks. Now, the whole idea of taking risks was foreign to me because up to that point, because of the nature of the school system, it wasn't something that I had explored. It was about, as I said, just doing what you're told and do a good job. But then when you go into an area like composition at a university level, you're encouraged to explore. You're encouraged to risk failure. You're encouraged to just try things out because that's the period where you have that opportunity to do so. The reason why is because that's the one time where you can develop your imagination and take risks and develop that side of your thinking without having the fear of having any, I guess, academic or professional or whatever consequences. In the creative world, and a lot, actually not just the creative world, in a lot of fields, having that fear actually helps. I know a lot of people try to avoid that fear because they want to play it safe, but actually I find that it's important to have that fear, to embrace that fear, just be comfortable with it, because it's that fear that will motivate, at least myself, to really be in that state where it's like, okay, I really need to confront this and let's see what I can do to make this work. When I was finishing my grad studies, there was that little bit of fear. It's like, okay, what's going to happen to me after grad school? Should I get a job? Well, I don't have very much money in the bank right now. Maybe I should just play it safe. Allocate some money here, for food, get a job, and maybe I'll have some time to compose. And then I realized that I was only doing that to avoid that sense of fear, to just play it safe. And I okay, you know what? I'm being a coward. So what I did, instead of getting a job or trying to make ends meet, I just locked myself away for about a month or two, just focusing on trying to write the best possible music I can, because now I have no choice, or at least that was my way of thinking. And I kid you not, after that process, after that period of just putting all my energies, all that fear, all that survival mode thinking into my pieces, that was when I started to write the best pieces I had ever written. And I kid you not, after writing that, after that process, that was when I started winning some prizes as a young composer and started getting commissions.
And I was doing this journey of your musical language and experiences. In 2011, you started this awesome collaboration with Name Glennie.
Oh, Evelyn Glennie, yes.
And she's amazing percussionist.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the Shaman came from that too, that collaboration, like
Right.
which is a fantastic piece too.
Oh, thank
And yeah, so what that collaboration also represents in this journey of your musical language in.
Well, yeah, actually, that was another life-changing experience, just working with Evelyn Glennie. Okay, let me back up how it all began. At the time, I was a year into my residency as the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra's composer in residence, and part of my responsibility was to help co-curate their annual New Music Festival, which is like a week-long festival that happens every year, where we program concerts of new music. Now, that particular year, 2011, was 2011 was the 20th anniversary of that festival, and so we wanted to open with a bang. And we thought, well, we need a concerto. Let's invite Evelyn Glennie. I mean, like, she's the percussion queen, and she's got a lot of new music under her belt. So we sort of knew each other through colleagues, through Christos especially. And so when I contacted her, she said, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to be a part of this. What do you have in mind?" And so I responded, "Well, what concerto would you like to present? We have these two works programmed already." And that's when she proposed the idea of me writing her a concerto. I was very excited, thrilled, but shocked and terrified. My knowledge of the percussion world was limited to what I had learned from orchestration class and from writing for orchestra itself, but I'd never really sat down and explored the full realm of what the percussion world had to offer. And that's when I truly learned the importance of collaboration, the true importance of placing a lot of value of what the performer has to say, because they're the ones on stage giving it all to make your music work. And so what they have to offer is suggestions that will help achieve that. And so knowing that, I had to make sure that that my ego was kept at bay, and not have that my ego, become a factor in our discussion, and really take in what she had to say, and likewise she took in what I had to say, and there was a real sense of growth through our discussions that led to the shaping of how the Shaman was to be at the very end of by the first performance. So I mean, the worst thing, I shouldn't say the worst thing, but the most unfulfilling thing I find was when I write a piece for someone, or a performer, any performer that is, I send it to them and I get no feedback. It's like, okay, so this is what you want me to do? Okay, and then they play it and that's it. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a great job, but I learned nothing from the process. There was no feedback, there was no discussion. I mean, there was no insight to, maybe there was the things that we could try out.
What advice would you give to young composers that are starting right now, emerging composers?
Well,
based on the lessons you learned, like, if you would pick one or
well,
two.
First of all, I always find myself as even though I'm turning 44, I still see myself as an emerging composer, because I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly growing, and I'm constantly trying to do new things. So I guess maybe that's the first advice. Is to always think like an emerging composer. Always think as a young composer.
I agree. I totally
Yeah. So maybe that's one advice. Another thing I've learned, and that I feel is important, is that no two careers are the same in the world of composing. So stop trying to see everything as a competition. Actually, that makes me think of, I guess, another bit of advice is trust the process. I mean, it's always a frustrating journey. I know that as a creative artist, because you always want to make sure you get it right. But by just trusting the process and not thinking about what the end goal is, each day could be an adventure to discover something more. or discover a new layer that's uncovered, rather than trying to force something that you already have preconceived, which is fine too. It's good to go to your studio with something already in mind, but it's also good to have enough, just leave enough room to have those moments of creative breakthroughs or personal breakthroughs, that where you discover something, those aha moments, and those are the moments that contribute to the growth. At least that is for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Vincent, thank you so much for your time
Yeah,
today.
this
It
has been
was great talking to you.
Yeah,
thank
no
you.
problem at all. It's really appreciate it.
Awesome.